What's up, guys? Welcome to the Low Kick MMA UFC Fight Night Whittaker vs. Till recap show. I'm your host, Ryan Galloway, and joining me as always is Jordan Ellis. Jordan, what did you think of the event this past weekend, mate?
Well, it was a great event. I think, obviously it's a great way just to round off Fight Island. 15 fight card. It was stacked. It was full of talent. You had the new and the old. You had the old guard and the newcomers, and it was a great card. I loved every moment of it. I loved the 15 fight cards. I liked the early start. It's good for me, So I got to see 15 fights and still make it to bed by 4:30 in the morning, which is that's a good one for us UK fans. So yeah, keep them coming.
Well, it was the opposite for me because it started at 5 a.m. or whatever, some ridiculous hour. But the event was great. 15 fights always good. I thought it would like seem like a long time, but it really went quite quick, especially when it started being finishes. So that really sped things up. And as far as Fight Island goes, good way to finish it off. We had a great first card. We had a decent second and third card. They weren't too bad. And then to finish it with this one, I think it was a great conclusion. Obviously, the main event between Robert Whittaker and Darren Till, a lot on the line here. Title implications in this one. Both fighters went out and showed that they both belong at the top of the division. Fantastic fight, in my opinion. Not the most entertaining. Not a lot happened because both guys were a bit shy to throw strikes in fear that someone would counter them. But it was a great fight. They did what they had to do to get the win. Obviously, Whittaker did win. Close fight, but I can see why Whittaker won. I can't see an argument for Till winning this one. But yeah, not a bad by either fighter. Both of them have their stocks raised after this, and hopefully Whittaker goes on to fight for a title next. What do you reckon?
I don't think Witt's going to be fighting for the
Yeah.
title. I think obviously as long as Adesanya's got that belt, it's going to be hard to sell that rematch. So he's got work to do. It'll probably be Jared Cannonier next. But I thought he looked great. I weren't expecting him to look as good as he did after such a long layoff and a tough knockout loss. I thought he looked great. I did think it was a really good fight. Obviously, it weren't all out war, but it was never going to be that because Darren Till is not that type of fighter. So it was interesting. There was so much on the line. Every time someone threw, you kind of winced, thinking, "Oh, someone's going to get knocked out," because they were both throwing for the knockout. They were both trying to go for it. I probably agree. It was a really close fight. I probably edged Whittaker just on the final round. I know Till split him open in the final round, but I do think Whittaker was just a little bit busier, and that's just one thing Darren Till can go away and work on. And because fights will get away from him if he's not more busy and he's too reliant on that one punch. But he's got time. He's 27. He'll go away, work on his stuff. He'll come right back. He'll probably fight Hermansson or someone at that level and a win there, and he's back in the mix again. So no real losers. Darren Till said after the fight, no one really lost, and it was probably more vital for Whittaker's career that he won, because where does he go from there if he loses to Till? It's a tough spot, but Till's still in a great spot. So yeah, it was a great fight all round. Great to watch. Happy both guys come out well, and can't wait to see them fight again.
Yeah, Till was saying all the right things after the fight, like in his post-fight press conference, saying about he was saying both of them, their stock went up. He was giving Whittaker compliments. Obviously, Whittaker gave him compliments. He said he reckons Stylebender is an easier fight for him, which is something you should say if you're a competitor who's up right near a title shot. That's going to pique interest to people who want to see him fight Stylebender now, because he reckons it's easier fight for him. One thing that did surprise me is how evenly matched these two guys were, because I thought going into this there was going to be a big difference in terms of the grappler, like Whittaker's grappling and Till's like pure striking, right? But both guys were very similar. Although Till did get taken down, I think he slipped or he got clipped and taken down. And the one thing that in his game that confuses me, I would say annoy me, but it doesn't annoy me, it just confuses me. When he's on the ground, he did this with Whittaker too, Woodley too. He pulled guard, and he almost tried to just reduce the damage coming his way by grabbing Whittaker's arms so he couldn't hit him. But he never tried to get up. When he got taken down, he sat there in his guard the entire time just trying to reduce the damage, right? Which doesn't make sense to me, because he's a striker. He's going to want to get back to the feet. And I think if he had to go back to the feet in that second round quicker, it would have influenced the judges more to his side, right? So maybe that's something he can work on. But like I said, both guys very evenly matched, and it was a great fight.
In his defense on that one is that Till had just been clipped right then. So if you're hurt, just stop someone punching you. I think all the rest of the fight, every time Whittaker went for the takedown, he bopped right straight back up. And I just think Darren Till, he's not known for his wrestling, but I think the majority of the time when he's not getting punched in the face, he stands right back up. And at middleweight, I don't think there's many people who are going to be able to keep him down. So that's good for him. The frustrating thing for me as a Till fan is he does seem to be very limited in what he does, and he seems to just have a few weapons he likes, and that just makes him very predictable for someone like Whittaker, who every time Till leaned forward, you could tell what's going to come. It's going to be a big left hand. So if he just a bit more variety in his game, and I think he would have won that fight. He weren't a million miles off. If he got the decision, I'm sure we would have some people moaning, but it was very close. I think that I had a 2-2 going into the final round. I think Whittaker took the final round. So he's not a million miles off. Whittaker was the champion not long ago. He was a really good champion, one of the best middleweight champions ever. So Till's right there. He just needs to, there's a few little bits he can do, and I'm sure he'll go away and do them now. But the wrestling for me was quite impressive, because he did, on that second occasion, I think he did get hit, although he said he didn't. I think he did get caught, and that's why he tied up. But every other time, he seemed to bop straight back up, which was impressive.
One thing that neither of us mentioned that I think is important to speak about, because I think you'll see a lot of his opponents do it now in the future, was Whittaker attacking Till's legs. Because once he didn't have the mobility to feint, and he was stuck, he couldn't do what Till does, right? He couldn't bop in and out and throw big shots. So I think every opponent he fights now is going to attack those legs and try and keep the mobility down, because it works so well for Whittaker. So going out of this fight, I think Whittaker is probably going to fight Cannonier, right? That's the obvious one. Either Cannonier or Hermansson. I'm leaning towards Cannonier because Hermansson just lost to Cannonier, right? Which one would you choose? If he's healthy and ready to go, Cannonier will fight Whittaker in September, I'm telling you right now. Till, on the other hand, what do you do with him? He's not lost stock. He could fight Hermansson. He could fight... Who else is the winner of Brunson and Shabazian? Maybe, if they go out there and do it in a stunning way, or the winner of Hall versus Romero. I know he's scared of Romero, so that one's not likely. But they're all good fights. Who do you think either of these fighters get in their next matchup?
I think it's pretty obvious. I think Cannonier is so obvious for Whittaker. There's no one really else. Like Hermansson, why would you fight Hermansson when he's just lost to Cannonier, as you said? And then Hermansson Till is the fight I want to see. I think Till, he's only had 2 fights at the weight, so he needs to be knocking off these contenders now. He needs to, and I quite like the Hermansson fight, because Hermansson will try and take him down, and it's a bit of a different. Like Hermansson's not going to try and strike with Till, and it's a better mix of styles, which I'm hoping will make for a better fight, or make for a Till knockout. Basically, I think both of them are still there. A couple of fights on to the next one. Yeah, it's a really good time to be at middleweight, and it's very obvious. Everything just seems like very obvious to me that where Whittaker's gonna go, where Till's gonna go. But you never know with the UFC. And as you said, Yoel Romero and Uriah Hall and Brunson and Shabazian are still there, but I would say they're probably a level below both these guys, even Till after a loss.
Yeah, I think you're right. We'll jump down to the co-main event, which was Shogun Rua versus Ruggerio Noguera. Obviously, his final fight, he retired after this. Good call, but he looked good in this. I thought he would look way worse than he did. He came out there like a vintage. Like, it looked like the first couple of fights. He really gave Shogun some trouble in the start of the fight, and he kept consistent the whole way through. I think what won Shogun this fight was the takedowns and the ability to take him down and ground and pound him. Good fight. I wasn't expecting much, but, 2 old boys who still can scrap.
Really good fight, and I think Little Nog's a bit unfortunate not to get the win. I think, especially on the whole trilogy, he's come out 3-0, but he's been highly competitive in all the fights, so he'll be a bit sore on that one. But it's similar with the main event, where there was really no loser in that one. Like, they both really impressed. They both really looked good, and it could have went either way. So, Little Nog, he goes off now. He retires, and Shogun goes on. He just keeps, getting these wins and grinding them out. And I just hope they don't feed him to any of the top guys in the division. I hope they realise that he's getting these wins because he has dropped the level. If they put him too far, you'll see someone like Anthony Smith, like he did last time, just take him out quite quickly. So let's be careful with him. Just look after him and just put him in fun fights for the rest of his career. I think he's only said he's got a few left, so there's no need to push him too high. Just keep them fun and keep them entertaining, and we can all watch them and not see a legend get absolutely knocked out.
So you don't want to see him fight Jiri Prochazka or anything soon?
No, thank you. I just want to see him against the old guys or against maybe up and comers who haven't proved himself yet. I think you keep him low, but it's a product of his own downfall because he keeps winning. So eventually they're gonna have to just be like, oh, you're ranked so highly, we're gonna have to give you someone, and then it could be trouble. But I'd prefer him just to toe the line and fight easier fights.
I agree.
Because he can beat a lot of guys.
Yeah. Has he fought Ryan Spann yet? I feel like they've fought, or maybe it was Little Nog who fought Spann.
I think Ryan Spann's just being matched with someone.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe that's a fight if he hasn't.
Yeah.
But aside from that, yeah, he's still in the picture. I mean, he's ranked he was 15th going into this. He'll probably be like 13th now. I'd imagine they'll bump him up slightly. Still shows that he can still fight. He didn't look bad. He didn't look old. So, yeah, who knows?
No, and it's Ryan Spann against Johnny Walker. So I feel like the winner of that maybe.
When's that?
Is a good fight. September. So the winner of that could be good for him at the end of the year because. As brutal as it could be if he meets Johnny Walker, he could also get Johnny Walker. Let's not forget, Johnny Walker got knocked out by Corey Anderson, so I'm sure Shogun fancies his chances. That's a good level of fight, and I don't think he should be going too far beyond that, hopefully.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, the fight before that was Fabricio Verdoom versus Alexander Gustafsson, and this one confuses me. So I'll just say one quick thing. I don't know whether Gustafsson looked bad in this or Verdoom looked really good in this. So what do you think?
I think it's a bit of both. I think sometimes it just happens. Like we've seen it with Kelvin Gastelum the other week. You just get tapped, and it's Fabricio Verdoom. He's one of the best PJ players in the game. So I don't think there's any shame in that. I don't think there should be any rash decision in terms of retiring again. I think he should just dust that one off. He's out. He's pretty injury free. And you got caught. Move on. I don't think he should be retiring off the back of that. I hope he doesn't. And props to Verdoom because I thought he looked awful in his last fight against Olenek, and this time he just come out. He looked sharp on the feet, got it to the ground quick, and just got the tap. And I just hope they both fight on because Verdoom's still clearly got a lot to go, and Gustafsson, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. But I just think that when someone gets tapped really quickly, you've just got to shrug it off and just say, "Oh, it weren't my night. On to the next one." What did you think? Yeah,
I probably agree with that because I didn't think Gustafsson looked bad when he on the scales. I didn't think he looked bad when he started. Like he was throwing hands. He looked slower. Obviously, he weighs a lot more, so he's going to be slower. But he, as far as technique and whatnot, he didn't make any errors on the feet. His biggest error was when he got his back taken, right? And that was when it was over because Verdoom throws that spiderweb armbar from the back, and he'll get anyone with that. I'm not like lowering Gustafsson's stock because he got tapped by Verdoom, right? Verdoom's going to tap 90% of the heavyweight division if he gets their back, So, that's not much to take from this. I don't know whether Gustafsson stays at heavyweight. Can he make light heavyweight again? Does he want to make light heavyweight again? I don't know what he wants to do. I'm happy for him to do either because I don't think he looked bad. I don't think he looks bad at light heavyweight. Well, he got tapped by Anthony Smith, but still pretty competitive up until he got finished. So I think he could go it either way he wants. Verdoom's contract's up. He's going elsewhere. My question is, he reckons he wants to rematch Fedor. Where's Fedor at the moment? Is he in Bellator? Mm-hmm. So is he going to go to Bellator? Or I know Ali signed a deal. Ali reckons he's sending more fighters to one championship. He could go there, and he could be the heavyweight champion, because obviously they don't care if you're on PEDs. He could go there and cycle back through if he wanted to. And even without the PEDs, I think he can beat, who's their champion? Brendan Vera, right? Heavyweight champion. And he's a lot bigger than Vera, so I think he could definitely go to one and be their champion, or go to Bellator and be a competitor. So whatever he wants to do, he wants to do.
I think it's about big fights now for him. He's 42. I think there's a few more fights that he fancies. I don't think he'll be tying into any long-term contracts. He might just go over and fight Fedor, maybe have a go at Bader, who's got the heavyweight belt in Bellator. I don't expect him to be around for too long. He's just going to try and cash in. But if he's trying to cash in, the UFC might be where he ends up staying, because there is some big fights there still for him, and if they can, maybe get them set up. But I think that Fedor fight is probably what's dragging him. He's probably looking at Fedor thinking, I fancy that one again, and I fancy it too. I'd love to watch it, and he's been a brilliant UFC fighter. He's won some, he's lost some, he's been a champion. He beat Cain Velasquez. So it was just, I just hope to see him fight wherever he goes. And Gustafsson, I just don't think he should. I think heavyweight's probably the place for Gustafsson. People were saying he didn't look great on the scales, but I thought he looked good. I thought, obviously he weren't ripped to shreds or anything like that, but we see some of the guys in heavyweight, and he looked in better shape than a lot of the guys who fight at heavyweight. So I wouldn't mind seeing him stay there, because I think he could be a contender. If they put him with the right opponents, build him up, get him a few wins, get his confidence back, and then throw him to someone big then. But you just get tapped by Verdoom, no shame, come back, do it again.
I agree. So moving on, we had Callahar Espazo versus Marina Rodriguez, which I called to a T, right? I said Espazo's takedowns are going to be too much for Rodriguez. She's going to take her down and win the fight. Thing I did have wrong, though, I said it was going to be 10-9 every round. Rodriguez, I think, won one of the rounds. It could have been the first or second. I think it was the first, right? She tags her in one of them. She put a big thing on her eye. Which round was that?
She was doing a lot of good work from the bottom. I personally didn't think it was enough to win a round. I had Espazo there to 30-27. But you could give her one of the rounds, but it was largely Espazo dictating the fight, just being relentless. She just is a relentless girl. Like, she's just not an easy night for anyone. She just comes at you. She'll bulldoze you with strikes and wrestling. She's a really tough girl, and it's going to take someone really tough to beat her. And Marina Rodriguez, she's just she's not there yet. To be getting taken down over and over again and not being able to get back up, it's a problem, and she needs to go away and work on it.
I agree. And so it was an impressive performance by Espazo. I'm just having a look now. I want to see where she's ranked, right? Women's strawweight. Callahar Espazo.
I think she's top 5, maybe no.
Well, I don't think it's been updated this week, but she was 7 going into this, so you'd say she'd be like 5. Yeah, that puts her up there with all the big names in this division. Like, who are they going to give her next? You've got Andrade, Tatiana Suarez. Not going to give her Joanna, I don't think. Nina Ansaroff or Claudia Gadelha. There's fights for her there, and she's close to a title shot. You get two of those in your record, and you're right in the title picture. I know Weili Zhang's going to fight Rose next of all. I don't know, but I can assume that's going to happen. When that happens, there's not going to be a lot of girls for Zhang to fight at the top of the division. It's going to be Tatiana Suarez and then Espazo, or like the other names I mentioned as well. So if she gets another big win, she's right there, and I think that's what she needs. She needs to go back. Obviously, she's a former champion, the inaugural champion or whatever. She needs to go back and get a belt again, and I think that's what she's going to attempt to do.
Yeah, I think based off the names you just said, Andrade seems the most realistic one to make as soon as possible, really. I think it's a really good matchup. It's a step up for Espazo. It's a slight step down for Andrade, but if she gets that win, she's back in the mix. And, once you beat Espazo, there's not really many other people you need to beat to be getting a title shot. So that's a good fight for both of them. That's the fight I would want to see.
Yeah, I agree. So before that, we had Paul Craig versus Gad Antagulov. We had Paul Craig versus Antagulov, and I called this one completely wrong because I said if there's going to be a submission, it was going to be from Antagulov. But I was wrong. Paul Craig pulls off his 3rd triangle, only the 5th triangle choke in the light heavyweight division. Looked good doing it. He was relentless with it. He had it locked up, but he didn't have it quite on for ages, and he just pushed and then eventually cinched it up, and that was it.
Yeah, it was impressive. And Paul Craig, he just keeps getting that triangle, and it's kind of a dying submission. You don't see as many as you used to do these days, and he seems to be able to still get it. And I think it was Antagulov's maybe confidence in his own submission game was what led to his downfall, because he was happy just sitting in that, and he was sitting in it, and he weren't moving, and he was landing strikes and things like that. And Paul Craig was just heating them and just thinking, you know what, you can punch me in the face, but I'm just thinking this in more and more. And it was impressive. And Paul Craig's he's a serious fighter, and he's got serious submission game. It's just, obviously, he is so good at submissions, he can tend to spend a lot of time on his back and then fights and get away from you. But he's always in fun fights. He's always going for the finish. And I think he's finished all of his wins. So it's just, Paul Craig's one to watch. He's always one to watch. He's very exciting fighter.
Yeah, well, I mean, him and Shogun both said they want that rematch after their fights, so maybe that's a good one for both of them, because that was a draw, that one. I can't remember the fight. I wouldn't be able to tell you who I thought won, but yeah, if they both won it and it was a draw, why not run it back?
Yeah, why not? And as I was saying about Shogun, that's probably the level he should be at, and obviously they're really well matched because they did it last time. So why not do it again? Why not?
For sure. So striking matchup we had here, Alex Oliveira versus Hita Sabota. I don't know why I stalled on that name. It's pretty simple, that one. Just a stand-up battle. Oliveira primarily dominated it. There wasn't much offered from Sabota in terms of like damage or anything. Third round decision. Not much I can say about it. It was pretty dominant.
I think Oliveira looked really good. I think I just do think, and I always picked him. I know he's been on a bit of a losing streak, and then he won one, and then Sabota's had a long layoff. But Sabota, in his day, he had some really good wins on his record. I think he beat Ben Saunders and Nicholas Darby and people like that. And I just didn't fancy him. I didn't fancy him after the layoff. I just didn't think he'd be on it. And I was kind of right because he did seem hesitant, and Alex Oliveira was just getting off early and often. And after the fight, I think Sabota retired. So that's always an indication that he weren't too confident going anyway. I'd imagine retirement was probably on his mind anyway. So good win for Alex Oliveira. I always like watching him fight as well. He's an exciting fighter, and best of luck to Sabota in his retirement.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a good performance by Oliveira, right? Because he didn't take much damage at all, and he dished damage throughout all the rounds. So not a lot I can say. Because Sabota didn't look like he was in the fight, So maybe he was half in, half out. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, he just didn't look on it. He looked like a guy who'd had a long layoff. He looked like a guy who might be considering retirement. He just didn't, like if he's getting 30-27 on all three scorecards by Alex Oliveira, he's not going to be a contender anytime soon. He's in his mid-30s, and he's just had a long layoff, so he's probably just thinking, it's time to call it.
For sure. And so we'll move on to the standout performance of the card, in my opinion, which was Kazma Chimaev versus Rhys Mckee, where Chimaev, however we want to say it just dominated again. Dominated. This one was even more dominant. He didn't even get hit once. He literally walked over to Mckee, picked him up like a child, walked him back to his corner, sat him down and beat him up, I felt bad for Mckee because he can tell he's a lightweight. Lightweight. He looks like a lightweight. He's very, very, very thin at welterweight. And so when he just got manhandled, I could see he was going to get finished, right? And he did, because Chimaev is legit, apparently. Gets hit twice in 2 fights. That's ridiculous, And my biggest question coming out of this is, does he look better at welterweight or middleweight? Because he looked perfect at both. So what do you think?
I think he looked better at welterweight. I think the middleweight took it longer, didn't he? He got the finish quicker. He looked bigger and better. I think that is his weight. I think that's where he should be staying. I felt a bit bad for Rhys Mckee just because he was kind of fed to the lions on that one. It was just getting in the UFC and trying his best, and he was tough, and he took a lot of beatings, and he wouldn't he tried his best not to give the referee a chance to stop it, but he couldn't get out. He had that the handcuff, the Dagestani handcuff on him, and he just couldn't move, and it's just one of them things. Rhys Mckee's probably like, I'm in the UFC now. I've took a beating off someone who might go on and be a champion. He can build up, and Chimaev, I think that was a bit of history. I think that was the quickest turnaround wins ever. So, he's talking madness. In fairness, if you hadn't seen him fight, he's talking crazy. He's talking about belts, and he's talking about being a powerful number one already. And I love all that. I love the confidence. I love the arrogance to go and do that. I wouldn't mind seeing him in a big step up. No, I don't want to see him fighting these guys who's going to wipe out in one round. I want to see someone. I think he called out Damian Maia. I'd love to see that fight, because if he takes Damian Maia down, it might be trouble. And that's the level I want him see him fighting a ranked guy now. I think he wants to move that fast. He seems good enough to move that fast. The UFC should move him that fast. Yeah,
well, 2 things out of this. He said after the fight that everyone likes his grappling. Everyone looks at his grappling and says how dominant he is. In his first few fights, he reckons he didn't know how to grapple. He reckons he was a striker. So I want to see him on the feet, but I don't know if we'll ever see him on the feet because he's so dominant on the ground. Why would you risk it on the feet? So I think he's more complete than we've even seen. So who knows where his potential is? And after the fight, when he was calling out Maia, calling out Michael Chesser, I thought that's ridiculous. This guy's fought 2 debut fighters, or maybe 1 debut fighter and 1 that's getting it and had a couple of losses or whatever the case was. But he has only fought the bottom tier guys at the moment. And he was calling for number 8, number 7 in the division. I was like, that's so dumb. But now thinking about it, Jiri Prochazka came in and debuted against the number 8, Ozdemir. And so if you can do that, this guy come in and beat 2 people, why can't you do him against a Maia? And I think that's a favourable matchup for Maia in terms of he's going to get taken down most likely, and that's where he wants to be, you know? And it will really test him. If Kazma can get past Maia by grappling him, who knows where the limit is, you know?
Yeah, it's a good fight for these ranked guys to take, I think, just because he's got a lot of buzz, his name's big, but he's not that proven. He hasn't beat anyone of that, level. And Michael Chiesa, he's a wrestler, and he'll be confident that his wrestling is 10 times better than John Phillips and Rhys Mckee. Rhys Mckee and John Phillips are not wrestlers. They're not wrestlers at all. Michael Chiesa is a wrestler, and he's a big wrestler at that. So he'll be confident of shutting that game down and, having success of his own. So I think there's worth in it. It's not just some unknown non-ranked guy. He's got a name. He's got buzz, and taking him out is a big scalp, even though he's not ranked yet. So I hope someone takes it. I think Damian Maia's game enough to take it. I think he is. Whereas Chiesa, he seems to have his heart set on bigger fights, up the division, and moving through the rankings. So I don't imagine he would take that one. But Damian Maia, I can see it, and I can see Damian Maia beating him. He's still a novice. He's still raw, and he wants to move fast. So let's move him fast. And Damian Maia is the fight, I think.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I think everyone wants to see that. So a bit of controversy in this one. We'll jump to the prelims, just speak about a few of them. Obviously, the featured prelim between Francisco Trinaldo and Jai Herbert. I thought Herbert was winning the fight. I thought he was 2 rounds up going to the third. He looked good. He had slick striking. I was really impressed. Trinaldo didn't look terrible. And then all of a sudden, Trinaldo lands a big overhand left hook and then puts him down. It was a weird one too because he kind of was standing for a second. It was like a delayed reaction. Anyway, he falls to the ground. Then Trinaldo gets on top of him, doesn't want to throw strikes, and Herb Dean doesn't call the fight, and then he throws a couple strikes and ends. Anyway, there's a lot of controversy to do with the stoppage, and when I watched it immediately, I thought, well, that was a bad stoppage. But then, afterwards, seeing the clip slow-mo and whatnot, Herbert was defending. He was putting his arms and legs up. He was, defending. He might not have been fully there because he just got rocked, but you got to let the guy fight, right? In my opinion, you have to let him fight until he's done. What do you think?
No, I'm totally the opposite. I think he was out. I don't care if he's defending. He's defending on instinct. His hands up in the air. Just because his hands up in the air, it doesn't mean he's defending. I think Terry Atom got knocked out by a spinning back kick. His hand was up in the air. He certainly weren't defending. I think he was out. When people fall like that, he fell like a stiff board. He just collapsed to the floor. I think it was terrible. And I think Herb Dean's had that. I think he's had a bad aftermath as well because he's defending He's defending it. Even if the eyes are open, you can just tell by the way someone falls if they're out. And he was out. He was out, and it was a brilliant win. Let's not take away from Trinaldo because he was losing that fight, and it was a brilliant win. And he was competitive, but he's in his 40s. He's fighting a champion coming over from Cage Warriors who was looking great, and then he's managed to find out to knock out blow. So props to him. Props to Herbert for taking a really tough opponent in his first fight and doing well. I think it was terrible. I think Herb Dean, the whole myth is that he's the best in the game, when he's just not the best in the game. He's just the coolest guy in the game, and everyone likes him, and everyone think he's a cool guy. But that was a late stoppage. There was another late stoppage earlier on in the card, which we'll speak about. And for him to come out and defend it, it's not what I want to hear. I want to hear someone say, he was out. I just thought he was out. I don't understand people thinking he weren't out because the way he fell, it was just too stiff for me.
Yeah, I don't agree. The way he got up afterwards when he, as soon as the fight got called, he got straight up. He wasn't, staggered on the ground. He wasn't stripping over. He was fully conscious when he stood up. And I think he's a debut fighter. If he looks like he's defending himself, obviously neither you and I were there. Herb Dean was there in the moment. He was on top of him. He could see better than the commentators and everyone else could see, right? And if he evaluated it and thought to himself, this guy's still there, let it go on, right? And it was two punches and he caught it, At the end of the day, both the fighters left there healthy, so I don't think it's that big a deal now. Maybe we should just move on from it. But, like I said, Trinaldo looked good in that finish. This is good for Trinaldo's career, right? He's getting near the end of it, so getting more wins is going to benefit him, And Herbert didn't look bad, so he's going to come back and he's going to get another fight, and hopefully he does well.
Yeah, it was just the actual knockout I didn't like, and I just don't like the defense of Herb Dean. I just don't think it was. The reason he woke up and he bounced straight back up is because Trinaldo stood over him for about 5 seconds thinking, shall I punch this guy? Because Trinaldo knows he's out. Trinaldo was there and he knew he was out. Herb Dean was just obviously not on his best game, in my opinion. That's the reason. If he stopped that straight away, Herbert wouldn't have bounced straight back up because he would have still been out. He gave him time to wake back up and, maybe initiate some defending. But once you're knocked out, you're knocked out. I don't think, coming back to, you should be able to carry on the fight. But let's move on because it is a bit of a shit show, that one. And yeah, I think it does mix people's opinions in. But Herb Dean's not the best referee in the game. Let's put that one straight. Not in my opinion anyway.
Yeah, well, we'll jump on. So I wasn't going to speak much about it, but the Dalby Ronson fight. But we can if you want. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, it was an upset in my opinion. I thought Dalby was the surefire winner. I think Ronson was stepping up in weight and on late notice, and we speak about it a lot, and we have through Fight Island. This is a chance, to take a scalp, and this is why Rhys Mckee stood up, because he thought, I can take out a big name and get a big win. And sometimes you'd end up getting mauled like he did. Sometimes you end up getting a massive win over a big name and a 50k bonus. So it works both ways. And props to Ronson. He's had a up and down career, but he's got that big win now. He's got a bonus, and he's on. I think he was calling out some of the big lightweight names. So excited to see him fight again. And it's just one of them. For Dalby, got caught, got tapped, bad night at the office. He'll come again as well.
Yeah, I mean, Ronson obviously entered back in the UFC as a welterweight, but wants to go back down to lightweight. Maybe Sean Penner, I think that's what we called out. Luis Penner. I think he's a good matchup for both guys, because Penner's coming off a loss, this guy's coming off a win, and a good win. Like, he's got a submission in the first round. There's no small feat, so maybe that is a good matchup for him at lightweight. But yeah, not a lot more to say about that one.
Before that one, we had Tom Aspinall, which is a great knockout, but the level of competition he was fighting is it's a bit worrying, really, that Jake Collier was allowed to get in the cage looking like that. To be fair, he's a middleweight, and people were showing me pictures of him as what he's meant to look like, and that's worrying. That's worrying, and he's probably getting cut unless he's cutting a lot of weight, because he come in 264, which is right at the top of heavyweight, and he's not a big guy, so. That was worrying. It was kind of predictable. That was always going to happen. Tom Aspinall's a hard puncher. Jake Collier's a middleweight, fighting a heavyweight. Tom Aspinall did what he needs to do. Jake Collier needs to go and do what he needs to do now and shift a bit of weight and get back to where he was.
Get back on the treadmill. I don't know how you go from being a middleweight to being a heavyweight, like in this. I think it was a 2-year gap or whatever it was. It's crazy, and he just didn't look in shape. He didn't look very good in the octagon at all. Aspinall, though, not taking credit away from him, he looked really good. I'd never seen this guy before. I didn't know who he was. But he come out there and he put it together. I think he knocked him down with a 1-2. And it was just, crisp boxing. I want to see him fight again. I know he's a teammate of Darren Till's, right? Because Till was talking about him at the press conference, saying that he reckons that outside of Ngannou, Stipe, and DC, he doesn't see anyone else beating him in the heavyweight division. Don't know how accurate that is. But I would like to see him fight someone like, not a high-level guy, but give him a name. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight someone in the top, like, edge of 15. He's not going to get a rank guy next, but give him someone we know. I want to see what he's like. I don't want to see another no-name. I don't want to see another person who shouldn't be a heavyweight fight him. So.
Yeah, I think he called out Spivak after the fight, which I don't mind that. He's very calculated, Tom Aspinall. I've spoken to him a few times, and spoke to him before this fight, and he's very aware that he needs to go through the proper process. He's not Chimaev. He's not going for these ranked guys straight away. I think he wants to build up and build some momentum. And Collier pretty much is the bottom of heavyweights you can get. Without being disrespectful, he's not a heavyweight. He weren't prepared to fight the heavyweights, and Tom Aspinall is an up-and-coming contender who's bouncing all over the place, 6'4", 240 whatever pounds he was, and he's bouncing everywhere and throwing hard, and that's difficult for anyone to deal with, especially someone who's not meant to be there. And it just seems like Collier's had a tough time. I think he had a surgery a few years ago, and he's probably been struggling to train, and then as a result he's struggling to get the weight off. But I hope he comes back. I hope he's given the chance. Maybe the UFC say, well, we want to see a fight, but only at 205 or only at middleweight, because there's nothing there for him at heavyweight. Aspinall, I like the Spivak fight. Tana Boza, who got a win on the card. Someone like that, Maurice Green. I think that's the level he can fight at quite soon.
Yeah, well, I'll jump onto that Tanabosa, Rafael Peso Nunes fight. Pessoa, not Peso. Anyway, that fight there was a good one. Tanabosa did what Tanabosa does, put it together in the second round. I think he punched him in the eye and he just fell to the ground. I mean, I would too. I've never been hit in the eye like that, but can't imagine it feels too nice. But yeah, put another knockout together. That's 2 in a row. Maybe it's more than 2 in a row, but that's 2 in a row I remember. So he still wants that Maurice Green fight for some reason. If I was on a 2 finish streak, I don't know why I'd be asking for that fight, but he is. So maybe he gets that next. Probably he gets that next, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, that was the other one where I was saying about Herb Dean being late. That was a late stoppage as well, and not an overnight. That would have been maybe a bit more talked about, because once someone goes down, Winston and in the corner holding their eye, it clearly doesn't want any more punishments, and it's just you having the common sense really to be like, okay, obviously he doesn't want to fight or he can't fight anymore. Let's step in and stop this fight. And yeah, so that was 2, and I think Dan Hardy was referencing that's 2. That's 2 you've done. That's 2 bad stoppages, and it was. But Tanabosa said he's putting a bit of momentum together, and I'm liking it. I think if he wants to fight Maurice Green, there's a bit of heat on that fight. Why not? He probably thinks he can get another knockout, and that's 3 in a row, and that's momentum, and then he can step up. But obviously he's not taking out top guys yet, so I'm not getting too on the Bosa type train, but I am excited. If he's on the card, I'm looking and I'm seeing his name, and I'm always excited. And he's quite a talker as well, so he's always interesting to hear, doing post-fight interviews or speaking to us. It's exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I'll hand it over to you. Is there any other fights you want to touch on?
Obviously we didn't get a fight tonight. I thought the one that opened the card was a really good fight against Nathaniel Wood and John Castaneda. How'd you say it? Castaneda. Castaneda. It was a good fight. Castaneda stepped up on late notice, but he was game, and Nathaniel Wood was displaying all his skills, all his striking skills, kept knocking the head back and just catching him as Castaneda was trying to get out. He kept catching him. I thought if there was going to be a fight tonight, that might have been it. But I think to see about 5 or 6 people get performance bonuses is probably the right way to go. And props to all them guys, because some really stand out, really good performances that caught the eye.
Yeah, I missed that one because I was busy sleeping because of the hour in the morning. So what happened there? Where does Nathaniel Wood go after this? Because wasn't he on the cusp of being ranked, or he may have been ranked before this? So what do you do with him now? Where does he go from here?
I think it's just stepping him up. I think he got beat by Dodson, but he's not far. He's on that level. So anyone ranked, I think he should be fighting now. I think he should be moving through the rankings. But he is a bantamweight, and it's tough at bantamweight because there's a lot of top guys in there. So and there's a lot of people trying to get it. Marlon Vieira's not ranked, so and he's been on a bit of a tear. So it's difficult at bantamweight to match people. But Song Yudong's probably looking for a fight. Maybe that's a good one. That's just off the top of my head, but
yeah, that's one
I'm not sure what to do with them.
I was thinking about that Song fight just because obviously Vera and O'Malley are fighting, and the winner of that's not going to fight down. I guarantee you the winner, if O'Malley wins especially, they're getting a top 10 guy next, And I think the same if Vera wins. If Vera wins, he's going to say, all right, I fought 2 of the lower ranked in the 15 guys. I want a top 10 guy next, which he would deserve. And I think that's going to be co-main event, so that'll be a big stage. So yeah, I can't see either of them fighting Wood next. Maybe the loser, but not the winner. But Song's in a weird position where people thought he lost his last fight. He's coming off a draw and then a win that people thought he lost. He needs to get a solid win in. So I don't know if he wants to fight up or if he wants to take a fight like Wood, where he could come out there and starch Wood. He could come out there and look good against Wood. So maybe that is the fight for him,
Yeah, and I think Cody Stammen's just lost one, hasn't he? So he's probably going to be fighting down. I think that's a good fight for your Dong as well. Did they already fight? They did, didn't they? To draw, so maybe run that back. And I think they matched Derek Shelley. So there's lots going on at bantamweight. Will he get a ranked opponent? It's going to be tough for Wood to secure a ranked opponent, and but he's of that level. There's no reason why he can't get a big win and be ranked soon enough, and I'm sure he will. And it was a good performance, and credit to Castaneda for coming in on short notice and looking good and hanging in with him. Because Wood, when I spoke to him, expected to finish the fight quite quick, and I kind of agreed with him. I think there was a couple of levels separating them, but he hung tough, and he was definitely game in the fight. It weren't despite the cards, it weren't a one-way mismatch. He was in the fight and he was competitive, and it was a good fight.
Yeah, well, before we close it off, I'll give you one more name and get your opinion on this. Nathaniel Wood versus Brian Callahar.
Yeah, that's a very good fight. And I think that's the most likely fight. That seems very doable. Keller's obviously game. He's not ranked at the minute. And I think taking out Callahar is a guy that gets you ranked. You know, once you've beat Callahar, you're fighting someone who is ranked. So, yeah, that's a good fight.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll speak to you later in the week to preview this weekend's card, which I believe is Brunson versus Shabazian. So I'll speak to you then. Thanks for listening.